Hi guys, my name is Amanda. For those of you that are new to the channel, for those of you that have been here before, welcome, and to family, hello. Today we're going to be making American style pancakes and maple flavoured syrup, all with ingredients that are in the pantry. All the ingredients for the pancakes and the maple flavoured syrup will be made from scratch using old techniques and teaching new techniques to young people. Let's go. Alrighty guys, let's make some ingredients from the pantry that we would normally go out to purchase, but instead of going out to spend money, after I've been on a pantry challenge for 3 months nearly, I don't now want to go out and spend a lot of money restocking when I can make the ingredients at home. So I found my old home economics book that I had at high school, and it's got a lot of tips in it, but a few of these I already knew. This one's powdered sugar or icing sugar, but I need to make this up because I don't have any in the cupboard at all. So it's 1 cup of white sugar, and it's 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. I'm using potato starch so that it's gluten-free for those of us that are gluten-free and unable to have gluten products. This now makes this icing mixture a gluten-free option. You can just use cornstarch, that's perfectly fine. It's just an anti-caking agent, prevents the sugar forming into a lump when it's been stored, so it just keeps it nice and powdery. Just be careful after you've blitzed it in the blender for 10 seconds that you don't inhale that sugar though. And that's it, it's made. Very simple. You will never have to buy icing sugar again or powdered sugar. You now know how to make powdered sugar, and it's cost you 1 cup of sugar and a little bit of cornstarch or potato starch. Simple. Alrighty, moving on to the next part of the recipe, making sure I don't have any grains, which is perfect. It's lovely. We're ready to move on to the next part, which is turning this into a vanilla sugar. I need vanilla sugar and a shelf-stable vanilla sugar because I want to make my cookies in a jar, pancakes in a jar, cakes in a jar, but I want them shelf-stable. So I found this product, which I've used before, and I really do love it. This is powdered vanilla bean, and this is available from Amazon. It's where I pick it up from all the time, and it's just pure vanilla beans that have been dried. And so it's shelf-stable, and it can be added directly to your dry ingredients, unlike vanilla essence or vanilla paste, which is a wet ingredient. This is a dry ingredient, which makes for storing dry ingredients in a jar perfect. I need 1 teaspoon, just 1 teaspoon of the vanilla bean powder added to 1 cup of the powdered sugar. I've now made vanilla powdered sugar, but I haven't had to use a vanilla essence or a flavoring, a powdered flavoring or a synthetic flavoring. It's a beautiful natural flavoring, and so it just is that much better that you would never go back to buying powdered sugar. This can be sprinkled on top of cakes, donuts, used in the icing as well. It is just a lovely ingredient to have on hand. Now, I understand that you may not have the powdered vanilla paste or the vanilla bean paste, but if you have got vanilla beans, then instead of using that powdered vanilla bean powder that I have, you can use a vanilla bean and put it into your sugar instead, but it will take time to infuse. It's better after a week, it's better after a month, and it's probably even better longer than that. But for making the sugar available to be used straight away, the dried vanilla bean powder is the way to go. Now, another ingredient that I don't have in the pantry that I don't want to go out to purchase is baking powder, and it's because you can make baking powder, and this is the simplest ingredient to remember how to make. It's 2 parts cream of tartar, it's 1 part starch, and it's 1 part baking soda. That's it. And mixed together and put into a jar. Just needs to be sifted, well incorporated, and then you've got baking powder, and you will never have to buy baking powder again. So it's another baking ingredient that is always in the cupboard, but most people would go out and purchase it, but you don't need to because you can make it for probably 1/10 of the cost. I don't know what the cost of baking powder is. I haven't checked that. I think most recently I saw a small bottle of it, or a small little container of it, and it was around $4 to $5 for a container of baking powder, but it's only got a shelf life of 6 months anyway, but you can make it yourself. You can vacuum seal all of this, by the way, if you want to extend that shelf life for 6 months to several years, if not longer, by vacuum sealing them as well. We're just going to make it. I'm going to use 1 cup of cream of tartar. I'm going to use 1/2 cup of potato starch because I want this gluten-free, and you don't have to. You can use corn flour, that's perfectly fine. And then I just need half a cup of the baking soda. I'm going to sift all of those ingredients really well together, mixing them to make sure that they're well incorporated before I put them into a jar, which I'm not vacuum sealing because I do need to use it, although it's quite a large quantity. So I'll probably end up putting this into 2-quart jars or 2 half-pint jars, and then transferring them and storing one lot vacuum sealed as well in the pantry to use at a later date, and then keeping out one lot of it to use now because I need to make self-raising flour, another ingredient that I do not have, I do not buy, and I always make as I go. This I've never bought. I don't know anybody really that does buy self-raising flour, because you can make it yourself. And we stock all-purpose flour always in the pantry, but I don't stock self-raising flour. I don't have the space to store all the different flours, so I tend to just make up self-raising flour and cake flour as I need it. So self-raising flour is very simple. I don't have enough to make pancakes with at the moment, so I do need to make some up in order to make the pancake mix. So I need 2 cups in total. I've got about 1 cup, so I need to make another cup. So I thought, let's show you how to do that as well. You probably already have heard this before and you probably already know how to do it, but there are many new bakers and many next generation that haven't been handed down these techniques, which is why I do these videos. So let's do it. 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Very simple. My granddaughter's coming up from Melbourne for the school holidays as well, and she'll also be learning all these techniques, and has done over her lifetime because she loves to bake with Grandma in the kitchen. So let's do it. 1 cup in a sieve of all-purpose flour. Now I just made baking powder. So I need 1.5 tablespoons of the baking powder as well. That's our rising agent in the self-raising part of the self-raising flour. So there's the raising agent being added now. And then I also need to add just a teaspoon or 1/4 teaspoon of salt. It's up to you. I use 1/4 teaspoon. Some people use 1/2 teaspoon. I've seen recipes for up to 1 teaspoon of salt. I think that's a bit much, but that's just me. So I just use 1/4 teaspoon. It works fine. And then we're just shaking it really well, putting it through the sieve, and then sieving it a second time, giving it a second sift. I'm actually going to sift it a third time because it's pancake batter, and so it needs to be really light and fluffy. But for this part, it's just sift it twice, and then it's ready to store. And then we can move on to the next ingredient that I need to make. So this is kind of what I want to make, which is the pancake shake and bake type of concoction, so to speak. These are $4.50 to $5. They're on sale at the moment, so they're a little bit cheaper. But I did look online and they're around between the $4 and $5 depending on which store you purchase them for. And there's an awful lot of additives as well. So I'd like to avoid all of those, maltodextrins as well, and thickeners and anti-caking agents and things like that, and salt, etc. So I just want to avoid those things by doing it ourselves. Next ingredient that I need to make is buttermilk or a buttermilk substitute. So I'll do a buttermilk substitute and I'll do that to start with. But then what's a pancake without maple syrup? We need to make maple syrup too. So I'll make the substitute for the buttermilk, and you can use any type of milk that you want. If you want to be non-dairy, you can use coconut milk if you want. I'm just going to be doing this just a standard dairy mix, but it is UHT milk, but it works just as fine. So this is a 485 ml, close to 500 mils of milk. And then I just need to add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. You can use fresh lemon juice, you can use vinegar as well as another option. That we're just increasing the acidity and making the milk begin to ferment, which is what it'll do. It takes about 15 minutes, so I'll let that do its thing while I get on to making the maple syrup. So to make the maple syrup, instead of purchasing maple syrup, which once again, the good maple syrup's great, but doesn't go very far with children, whereas the synthetic maple syrup is full of sugar and additives in anyway. So let's just make it ourselves. Now once I'm finished making all of these ingredients, it wasn't my plan. My plan was just to make pancakes. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the ingredients that I required to make the pancakes, so I had to make all of these ingredients up to put back into the pantry, so at least I can make pancakes anytime I want now. I can make my pancake mix back up and put it in a jar to store once again, but I've got more jars coming as well. To make the maple syrup, we need to have maple flavour. Maple flavour, might need to shop around to find it. I use this to make bacon as well as to marinate in with meats when they're getting smoked. So you'll need to have this. You need sugar, you need water. That's essentially all you need, is just boiling water, brown sugar, caster sugar, and the maple syrup, or the maple essence flavour. This one's non-alcoholic too, which is another good thing. Alrighty, let's get going. And we need 1 cup of boiling water, so I'll just go pop the kettle on. Luckily, on a former video, I made up some brown sugar because otherwise I'd have none of this either, which I need a cup of this as well. So I'll put the links in the description of all of the stockists where I've been getting all of the different ingredients that I've been using, if I can find them, if I didn't already have them in my cupboards. Yeah, links for all of those. In the description will be the full details of how to go about making all of these different kitchen ingredients as well. So I will put that all in the description for anybody who wants to go along and do that themselves as well. And I will try to do a total costing if I can, but remembering I purchase bulk items and I purchase different times of year when they're on sale, so sometimes it's a little bit difficult to find the exact prices, especially when I'm not purchasing them frequently, but I'll do my best. Okay, so 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 cup of white sugar, and then that just needs to have a cup of boiling water added to it, and we're going to move over to the stove. So that's my 2 cups of boiling water, 2 cups of sugar. To that I've just added the 1 cup of the boiling water, and I've just turned the stove on to medium heat to start cooking as well. We just need all this sugar to dissolve. So while it's dissolving, I'll just stir it. And we'll come back to that. So I'm just stirring that, the sugar's dissolved. I just need to bring it up to a boil and then immediately turn it off. And then all I've got to do is add my maple essence or my maple syrup, maple flavour syrup into this to complete it, and then it's ready to bottle. This will store in the refrigerator for up to a month. It can also be water bath to seal it with the water bath technique for 20 minutes in a water bath, and then it will last longer on your shelf. However, it's going in the fridge, it's going to get used for pancakes. It's not going to last the school holidays, so it's just going to go into the refrigerator. Yes, it's a lot of sugar. It's breakfast. They're not getting a lot of it. They're just going to have that with some fruit over the top of the pancakes, which we will start to make in just a moment. Now we've got all the ingredients finally organised. So I'm just going to pop this into a bottle. So I have a teaspoon of the maple syrup or the maple essence. As you can see, it's very syrupy consistency. I'm just going to put the spoon into, because it is a metal spoon, into that hot syrup and stir it around just to get every single drop of that maple essence off this spoon and into our syrup. And then that's the maple syrup done. It's just going to cool a little while. I've got a jar heating up at the moment, and then I'll bottle that. Meanwhile, I'll make a start on, finally, the pancake batter. It smells amazing and tastes amazing. Once again, another ingredient that if you don't have it in your pantry, but you've got sugar, and I'm pretty sure we would all have water, it's just the maple essence that you might need to purchase and have that on stock as one of your pantry staples for future. It tastes amazing. Once again, you will not purchase maple syrup once you've made it this way. Okay, better put the lid on that little guy before I lose him. Let's bake some batter. Okay, reading from the family cookbook, we're going to do American Style Pancake Mix. I need 200 grams of self-raising flour, which I have. It's about a cup and a bit of self-raising flour. Not quite 2 cups, but more than 1 cup. I need the vanilla powdered sugar, and I need 2 tablespoons of that as well. I'm just going to sift the flour. So this is the 3rd sift that the flour's had. But if you're sifting your self-raising flour for the first time, it needs to be sifted 3 times in total. We want to make this nice and light and fluffy. So then I need to add 2 teaspoons of the tablespoons of the vanilla powdered sugar. I then need to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I'm just using a white kosher sea salt. And then in order for this to be a in-jar mix, we're going to add butter powder. Which is just going to be a tablespoon of the butter powder. And then milk powder. Enough milk powder that makes up 240 mils. So according to my measurements over here, I'm going to need about 1/4 cup of milk powder. Milk powder is here. And that's 1/4 cup of the milk powder. Oopsie. So that's all the dry ingredients now mixed together. And the only thing that needs to be added now to this is either water or water and an egg. Or instead of water, you can use buttermilk. I'm actually going to be using buttermilk when I do this mixture as well. Even though I know that I've just added milk powder to this one, and it only needs to be hydrated with water. And I just need 1 cup, but I'm going to be using buttermilk to make them rise even more. Because that's what Mum has written down to do. And if Mum said to do it, then Mum must be right. So let's go. So this is my buttermilk substitute that's been sitting here, which is full cream milk with a couple of tablespoons of the lemon juice. And we're going to be using that. But not, should I do a whole batch up? Yeah, why not? Okay, so I'm going to need 240 mils. And 1 large egg. So in a separate bowl, I've got myself my 1 egg, 1 large egg. And to that, I'll add the 1 cup of what would be my buttermilk, or my buttermilk substitute. It's approximately 240 mils. American measurements, it's 240 mils. Our cup measurements, it's 250 mils. So just slightly less than a full standard metric cup. This now needs to get whisked well together. So that's just all being whisked together. That's the egg and the milk, and I'm just going to move that into the dry ingredients. I'm not going to use electric beaters. I thought about it, but it's getting late in the afternoon, which means the solar panels will not be generating as much power as they would do during the day. So I've already got the stove on. I'm not going to use electric beaters, etc. at the same time. But now that I've got my egg mixture in, just give that a whisk together. Smells amazing, but so does that maple syrup that's just beside me. You can smell the vanilla in this. And that is our batter mix done. So that's going to be our shake and bake mix that I'm going to have in a jar ready to just mix up. Let's cook some pancakes. Test batch. Gotta have a test batch. Okay, to my saucepan, which is heating up, fry pan, 1/3 of a cup of the mixture. Let's go. Look at those bubbles, how aerated it is using that buttermilk mixture. So fluffy. You can actually hear them popping as the batter's poured in. So the first one's in. We'll see how that cooks up. It smells amazing. It's supposed to be the lovely, thick, high pancakes. First one's always usually a sacrificial pancake, they call them, as you're getting your heat ready. But we'll see how this one turns out. So we're just cooking the pancakes until they're all bubbly. Look at all those beautiful vanilla beans in them. And this is one that I made first up, and it is so fluffy and so light. So that's the first one. That's always a sacrificial one, but it looks pretty good. Alrighty, back to these guys, just while they're bubbling up before I flip them. Oh my, seriously insanely good. Alright, let's get the syrup on it. So this is the homemade maple syrup. Now it is still hot, so it is still thinner than it would be when it chills, but still tastes amazing. And I should know because I already had one small pancake myself. I'll just let them all soak in. How good do they look? Yum. Every ingredient from scratch. That's a first, except for the maple essence. Okay, done. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed that. Bye now.